Essay on Education, a reprint from Musea zine. Is there a dunce cap big enough to fit every school in America? This special issue of Musea on Education is based on the 1992 essay on education by Tom Hendricks. The more I know, the more I am opposed to the method of education that I grew up with. In my opinion, our education system is archaic, inadequate, and needs immediate and sweeping reforms. This essay outlines those reforms. They revolve around two basic ideas. 1, the desire to learn, and 2, the method of learning. But before we begin, we must first resolve to love our children enough to care who's teaching them, what's being taught, and how it's being taught. We must have concerned, creative, and smart teachers who will use every positive innovation to instill in their students the desire to learn and to give them methods to learn quickly and efficiently, thus making school not drudgery but a joy. If we ask our children to learn more, we must give them that support. We must care. Desire to learn. The first and foremost goal of all schools must be to instill in their students a desire to learn. That alone will ensure a lifetime of learning. The desire to learn can compensate for every other deficiency in a school system. If there is one student who fails to want to learn because of the school, then that school has failed and failed miserably. The desire to learn begins in the home. Parents are the overriding influence on their children. It is they who instill the desire to learn or destroy it, and they do this in the first years of the child's life. The schools can only enhance or weaken that pattern of behavior. Therefore, parents must begin by caring for their children's education at home. If parents have done their part, it's up to the schools to magnify that positive learning experience. Here's a test for every school. Ask the students to evaluate their schools by choosing one of the following. A, I passionately want to continue learning every day of my life. B, I want to go to college and that's it. C, I don't feel that strongly about education one way or the other. D, high school is it for me. F, I hate it here and want out now. The grade the school gets is the letter the student chooses, A to F. Instead of promoting the desire to learn, we make it as difficult as possible for them to learn. In fact, I don't know how we could punish and torment our children more. We take energetic, vibrant, talkative, curious, and lively children that we swear we love and begin step by step chaining them up. They must go to ugly schools that look like prisons, then to drab, dull-bit classrooms, sit at hard, uncomfortable chairs for hours, not talk, not even look out the window. Heaven help them if they daydream. Then they are forced to listen to some bored and boring teacher lecture on a narrow, limited format of a course from a single viewpoint textbook. Add to this no free time to think, limited exercise, and lousy food at lunch, and you are describing conditions similar to solitary confinement in a prison. Furthermore, the approach of the schools is to teach to the student instead of let him learn from the teacher. And because he's being coerced against his will, the student either becomes bored or rebels against the teacher. There is no incentive to acquire knowledge, yet the same student will often in an unbelievably short time learn every possible fact about his favorite hobby or hero on his own and without the aid of any teacher. And even if, in spite of all this, the student somehow becomes curious about what is being taught, and this in turn leads him to expand on that idea, i.e. think, then that curiosity is soon checked. In essence, teachers subconsciously tell their students, if the knowledge I'm teaching you should lead you to explore any other avenues of thought, ideas, or conclusions outside of the text or curriculum, I will try to stonewall and curtail that natural curiosity and restrict you to the narrow view of study in any way I can. First, let's stop format teaching. Let children learn naturally that let their mind move from one subject to another because their curiosity moves from one subject to another. It's a form of brainwashing to try to limit what's taught to one narrow, fixed format viewpoint. The child should see that all knowledge is connected. Then he'll see how knowledge is useful because it is part of the real world. Stop format teaching. It is not amazing that there are so-called failures in the present educational system. What is amazing is that anybody can go through such a school system and learn much of anything. I contend that what is learned comes mostly from a natural inclination and curiosity in the student that even schools have not yet learned to destroy. When I went to school, I thought there were things you had to learn, no matter how boring they were, and that to suffer in school was mandatory. But since then, I've found out that I was totally wrong. For the rest of this essay, see the link.